and he lost all of his work for doing nothing wrong. False claims of sexual assault should be dealt very harshly.
People have been asking me to do this for so long. I probably will pick this up on my Sunday show as well, but this is Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer is one of the pitchers for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
A text Lindsay Hill sent to a friend before she ever even met me. Yeah. What should I steal? She asked another, in reference to visiting my house for the first time. The answer? Take his money. So how might that work? I'm going to his house Wednesday, she said. I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. Then, after the first time we met, net worth is 51 mil, she said. Bitch, you better secure the bag, was the response. But how is she going to do that? Need daddy to choke me out, she said. Being an absolute to try to get in on his 51 million, read another text. Then, after the second time we met, former Padres pitcher Jacob Nix told her, you got to get this bag. I'll give you 50,000, Lindsay replied. Her AA sponsor asked her at one point, do you feel a tiny bit guilty? Not really, she replied. Since then, her legal team has approached me multiple times about coming to a financial settlement. But as I have done since day one, I refuse to pay her even a single cent. In August of 2021, Lindsay Hill's claims were heard in court. And during those legal proceedings, critical information was deliberately and unlawfully concealed from me and my legal team. Information like this video, which was taken by Lindsay Hill herself the morning after she claimed she was brutally attacked, emotionally traumatized, and desperate to get away from me. And now we have the metadata, so there can be no dispute. It was taken mere minutes before she left my house on the morning of May 16th, 2021, without my knowledge or consent, of course. In it, you can see her lying in bed next to me while I'm sleeping, smirking at the camera without a care in the world, or any marks on her face. I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what actually happened the evening of May 15th and why the video was originally concealed from us. After hearing the evidence available to her, Judge Diana Gold-Saltman found that Lindsay Hill had misled the court. She found her claims to be materially misleading. She denied her request for a domestic violence restraining order, and she found that no sexual assault or non-consensual conduct took place. Now, some of you might not know about restraining order hearings. I know I didn't, but I've since learned that it's extremely rare for a request for a restraining order to be denied because the standard of proof that you need to obtain one is extremely low. So you can make of that what you will. The fact is, I was never arrested. I was never charged with a crime, and I won the only legal proceeding that took place without my side of the story even being heard. And most importantly, as I've said from day one, I never sexually assaulted Lindsay Hill, or anyone else for that matter. So I sued her, which prompted her to countersue me. Quite frankly, regardless of the outcome in court, I've paid significantly more in legal fees than Lindsay Hill could ever pay me in her entire life. And I knew that would be the case going in. But the lawsuit was never about the money for me. It was the only way for me to obtain critical information to clear my name. The discovery process in that lawsuit recently concluded, at which point Lindsay Hill's legal team again came to us with another proposal to resolve the case. This time, however, they weren't seeking any money from me. Having received much of the information that had been hidden from us, a small portion of which I've referenced here, I was willing to agree to the terms proposed. Both parties would drop their respective lawsuits, and neither of us would pay either side any money. I also retained my right to speak publicly about the case, something I have not been at liberty to do since June of 2021. So, as of today, both lawsuits have been settled. Now, over the last 2 years, I've been forced to defend my integrity and my reputation in a very public setting. But hopefully this is the last time I have to do so, as I'd prefer to just remain focused on doing my job, winning baseball games and entertaining fans around the world. So today, I'm happy to be moving on with my life.
There you go.
Good for him.
Guy, right?
Exactly.
You don't want no smoke with him.
That had been going on for like the last 2 years. The reason why I threw that up there is because just simply the text and the sort of planning. Remember, we were talking about, have you done anything really
so
devious to,
Well, so that wasn't even vindictive. That person's like probably bipolar or borderline personality.
that's
sort
psychotic.
of.
Right.
So here's the thing. I wrote this.
Document everything.
I quote tweeted that, and I wrote, we need to keep receipts of every person who ran with this story before all the information came out.
Yes.
Same thing with Johnny Depp. Sexual assault is a very serious charge and should be taken seriously. false claims of sexual assault should be taken equally as seriously. This is becoming like an epidemic where this tool is now used. And the reason why I have an issue with this is because I work with domestic abuse charities and human trafficking charities. You are taking resources away from people who need it, who are actually being trafficked and actually being abused when you start saying Jonah Hill is an abuser.
Right.
When you start saying Trevor Bauer is an abuser. When you start saying when you start saying Johnny Depp is an abuser, you're taking things like what you're doing is you're marginalizing women who are actually dealing with this abuse.
Yes.
And instead, because of your lack of gratitude and because you're dealing with someone who didn't validate you, or in this case, someone who is clearly a psychopath, you're dealing with a situation where you're ruining it for other people. And that's why I'm additionally angry about this. Again, I encourage people to adopt animals. One of the things that hurts an animal adoption is when people breed animals. So I don't like it when people breed animals because of the cruelty, the breeding, and also it doesn't force people to adopt. It's the same type of situation. When you do this, you're not only marginalizing these women to the outside, you're not allowing them to get the resources they need because you're making up these stupid. Same thing with Aziz Ansari. This woman, this woman of her own volition gave Aziz Ansari a job, felt bad about it the next day, and wrote a blog about how uncomfortable she felt. And he lost all of his work for doing nothing wrong. Sexual assault is a very serious allegation. It is, and should be dealt with harshly. False claims of sexual assault should be dealt with maybe not equally as harshly, but also very harshly. And that's why this was such a great ending.
Right.
And he had to wait 2 years in order to actually be able to come out and defend himself. And what I would really like is not only for this Nikki Hill, whatever her name, to be shamed, but she's a psychopath. She doesn't feel any shame. I'm not worried about her. But all the people who ran with the story and asked for the Dodgers to cut this motherfucker, they're the people who need to be
Put
shamed.
that bitch in a rubber
They're the
room.
people who need to be shamed. That judge in the UK who summarily found that Johnny Depp was a fucking abuser, he needs to lose his motherfucking job.
Yep.
That's the problem. Those people in Australia who were running those news articles about Johnny Depp being an abuser and how stupid everybody was for defending him, those motherfuckers need to lose their job. That's what I have an issue with. When you are running with these stories before there's any evidence out, and then once it comes out, again, if we could all just sit back and relax and try to figure out what's going wrong. And the thing is that's going to happen is, what I have a huge problem with is this is happening all over the place. With the Russell Brand thing, I don't care how guilty you think Russell Brand is, you need to wait for the evidence to come out and for there to be some level of settlement for this.
He's innocent.
But one thing I will say about the Russell Brand situation, it sure is convenient that when he was a Marxist leftist, when he started doing his podcast, that no one had an issue. And that was, he started doing his podcast after the allegations came out. The most recent allegation is 10 years ago. You had all this time to come after him. But all of a sudden, now that he's alt-right, now all of a sudden this motherfucker sexually assaults women. Please stop. Please stop. When you take something as serious, like, again, I've never been sexually assaulted. I've never sexually assaulted anybody. I can't imagine what an incredibly traumatic experience this is. And for you to use this as a tool in your political arsenal to shame people, fuck you. You have a problem. That is the worst possible shit you can do. We talk about like how horrible it is. You're using this tool that other people, man, there are women out there that are legitimately being trafficked. I had a buddy of mine, he's a club promoter, and his family was like, you're trafficking women by bringing them to a nightclub. And I'm like, I was so angry when I heard that. I'm like, the world has real problems.
I put them in a car. Dude.
Yeah, like they came of their own volition. Like the world has real problems, and when you marginalize this and you bastardize these issues, it makes it so incredibly stupid and hard for people to actually need attention to get it. And then the rest of the world is like, you're just crying wolf.
Right.
You're just crying. Yeah. You don't understand. I'm not mad at Amber Heard because she lied. I'm mad at Amber Heard because of all the women who have been abused, who now everyone is going to go, well, you probably lied like Amber Heard. Some of them are lying and some of them aren't. But we're more likely to not believe women who are telling the truth because of Amber Heard, because of situations like this. That's why it makes me so angry when I see stuff like this. I do so because I care about women who've been abused. When I see false allegations, and other women in this culture need to be, like, again, women who are a part of domestic abuse charities should be more angry at her and Amber Heard than any man should be. They should be more angry. If this is legitimate, if this is political, then you don't give a fuck. If this is political, then you don't, well, she made a mistake, whatever. No, that, like, seriously, at least jail time. At least jail time for this.
Yes. I'll just follow up with one more thing here, because I know what's going to happen. Because right now, the red pill, the guys in our space, we're the only ones who bang this gong right here. We're the only ones on this show talking about this in the way that we're talking about it, right? And that's why this space is necessary, and that's why it's not going anywhere. The other thing is that not every woman will Not every woman is going to do this. They're not all psychotic, and they're not going to do that. The problem is that any woman can. Because they've got this, because they have the ability to do it. And that's why, so what happens is guys, especially critics of this space, will say, well, those guys are just paranoid. Those guys just think that it's like they're going to get Me Too'd, or they're going to get some sort of harassment or some sort of SA, charges filed against them. But the thing is then when you see something like this, when people think that you're aggrandizing or you're going over the top, at some point you're going to have to call this out, and this is the only place that does that. Not traditional conservatives, not Daily Wire, certainly not any wokesy news outlets. This is where you're made aware of this stuff. And until people are ready to sack up and like really recognize this, we're going to just have to be the ones that are banging this.
There are women who have been sexually assaulted and won't report it, and the reason why you won't is because of her.
Right,
it's because of her. Like, just so you know, it's because of her. So it shouldn't be me on this pulpit saying this. It should be women in domestic abuse charities, women who work for domestic abuse and human trafficking causes. You need to be on that soapbox fixing this problem. It shouldn't be me doing this. That's the issue.
I'm not going to call myself a victim by any means, but I have experienced sexual trauma as a child and throughout my adult life, as well as domestic abuse. And my stories are real, but it still makes you kind of feel like you're lying when you're saying it, because you know what the other people are thinking. And that's what scares the women, because they're going to feel invalidated. And that's just something we can't allow to continue to happen. We have to have outreaches. We have to speak out. We have to speak up. We have to stand up. Otherwise, it's going to keep coming.
Can I say something that's been very different? An advent, something that's changed over the last 40 years is the fact that in this case, he was suspended for 324 games of the MLB because of this.
2 years.
2 years he was suspended for something he didn't do. But how did he get away from this? Because of the video evidence. Okay, the video evidence. My thing to you ladies is, and I know this is not the thing you want to talk about when, obviously something's going on. Any evidence you can get, film and I tell everyone, record everything. I tell, again, this guy came up and started bucking up to me when we were at Warwick. And this guy came bucking up, and I handed her my phone, and I'm like, babe, just film everything. Just film everything that is about to happen. I'm going to put this dude in the hospital, but he's got to swing first. He's got to swing first. You need to, I tell people, get those ring lights, those Nest things in your house. Film everything, because in the end, what happens is it's not just the filming of it. It's that you get to call these people out, because what happens is it's a he said, she said. There's this one guy I know, he has a dash cam on his car, and this guy hits him, and then he moves his car when the cops come there so that he can make it seem like it was his fault. Well, he finally gets the dash cam footage after the guy lied. He let the guy lie. He let the guy hang himself. And when he did so, the guy did jail time for lying to the police. And that's how it should be. It really should be. I don't know if you guys know, in Russia, there's so much incredible insurance fraud that everyone, just like everyone in this country is required to wear a seatbelt, everyone in Russia is required to have a dash cam. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah. Wow.
Look at some of the crazy dash cam footage you'll see online. All of it's coming from Russia. It's just this crazy stuff that's going on. So again, like I'll tell you guys, in these situations, there's no solution. Men should not sexually assault women, and women should not lie about any of the things that are happening. The answer, the closest thing we can ever come to, is film everything. Yeah. Film and record.
Jonathan Majors, so he's Kang in Marvel Comics, and his girlfriend accused him of hurting him, and he slept at a separate hotel, let her stay at his place. Yeah. And around the time of the incident of her saying that he broke his finger or whatever, is videos of her walking to a club, her trying to drag him out of the taxi. Yeah. All right, pull him into the cab. He had to break loose to get out of the cab, and she proceeded to go to a club, dance, and then ended up hanging out with the DJ, left with the DJ. Yeah. And he lost a bunch of films because of it.
Same thing. Courtney Taylor, she claimed that her boyfriend was she murdered her boyfriend. She stabbed him in the shoulder, and then he bled out. She claimed that her boyfriend was beating her repeatedly, and then, by the way, she was going to get away with it. And a video came out of her obsessively just beating the shit out of him in an elevator before we found out what the truth is. The opposite happened. Obviously, the Ray Rice situation, where we knew that Ray Rice had hit his woman. We didn't know Ray Rice knocked her out, bounced her head off of the elevator side, and then he was suspended, never played another game of football after that. I don't think Ray Rice should get the death sentence for this, but he shouldn't be able to play NFL football. I totally understand that. So what I'm saying before, the great equalizer is videotape. Yeah. Until it isn't, until we get into deepfake. But for right now, I recommend everybody film everything so that we don't have these type of situations. I have a buddy of mine right now. He has a huge mansion, and every single room in his house, he films every single thing he can, just so stuff like this doesn't happen. So I'm saying this for both, for men to protect themselves and for women to protect themselves. You try to film as much as you can.